How's it going, cybersecurity warriors? Today I'm going to compare IdentityGuard versus IdentityForce, two reputable identity theft protection services. IdentityGuard was their own brand. We'll get into that in a second, but IdentityForce is a TransUnion brand. Many of you, I'm sure, know the TransUnion name from their credit bureau. And I'm going to talk about how these two different identity theft protection services compare in terms of their monitoring, whether on the dark web, transactions, credit monitoring, also how they compare in terms of threat resolution, and also how they compare in terms of cost, of course, as that I'm sure is a deciding factor for many. So, but just a real quick answer here, I think IdentityGuard is a great solution for anyone who's looking for a sort of bare bones but high value plan that is basically a sort of a budget plan, something that doesn't cost too much and still monitors your personal information online. I think IdentityGuard is a great option for that. But once you start to move up in the pricing tiers, I think that its parent company, Aura, actually has a lot more to offer and it's a bit of a better deal. So I'd recommend you actually check out Aura if you want more than just basic identity theft protection monitoring with IdentityGuard. And if you do use my links in the description of this video, I do actually have really nice discounts for Aura and IdentityGuard as well. If I have anything for IdentityForce, I'll put that there too. IdentityForce, I think, is a very nice system, a very good brand. Their tool does a good job. However, for the price you're paying, you're not getting anywhere near the value that you're getting with Aura either. So you can't really go wrong with IdentityForce, but if that's the way that you want to go, I would recommend you definitely check out Aura as well. And I'll talk a little bit more about Aura after I've really gone over what's important here with IdentityGuard and IdentityForce. But just taking a look inside the dashboards here, this is what you get. So as I alluded to, I am on IdentityGuard's value plan. I think that makes the most sense for what they have to offer. And on their value plan, you don't get transaction monitoring, you don't get credit monitoring, you don't get antivirus, online security, or family member protection. What you do get is, a password manager, which is nice, but definitely not a deciding factor. And you get their identity monitoring. And what they do is they offer basically how both of these services work. And it looks like IdentityForce is still loading over here, so hopefully that'll be ready by the time I'm done here. But basically how these services work is that you put in your personal information, and that includes things like your phone number, passport number, driver's license number, anything that you want to provide them, credit card numbers, email addresses. Email address is really the big one for me. And what they're going to do is they're going to scan the web and the dark web for instances of your personal information being available online that can be used for malicious purposes. And what they do is when they find a result, they will, first of all, send you an alert, which can be set up to your phone or email. They'll also give you this record in your account dashboard here so you can see, what information has been leaked, where it was leaked, and when that leak was found. In this case, this is a Twitter leak, and my email was leaked, and I don't believe my password was leaked for Twitter, just my email, although they do recommend that I update my account anyway as a precautionary measure. IdentityGuard also automatically submits opt-out requests in your behalf with data brokers. There are, several here. And I think when I first signed up, they submitted opt-out requests with 30 of them. And then over time, they continue to sort of keep up on this. And I'll get emails every now and then like, hey, we submitted opt-out requests with 5 data brokers on your behalf. So it's kind of nice that they're keeping on top of that. They also will monitor credit card and utility accounts. If anything along those lines are opened in your name, you'll get a notification so you can look into whether or not that account is legitimate or fraudulent. And they also do monitor public records. So if anybody tries to change anything associated with your social security number, they give examples here of your home title deed, changing basically your home title from your name to someone else's, or if somebody uses your name during an arrest, you'll get any sort of changes to public records that they come up with. You'll get notifications in case it is one of these sort of fraudulent situations which you need to crack down on. So okay, so we're still loading over here at IdentityForce. Let's see. Okay, so here we are. So for some reason that browser wasn't working so well, but this seems to have solved the issue. So what do you get with, IdentityForce? It's very, very similar. They have this identity vault here where you input all of your personal information, several emails. There's no sort of small cap on either IdentityGuard or Identity Vault. Some cap the amount of emails you can monitor to 4 or 5, which I do find is a bit limiting. That's not the case here. Similarly to IdentityGuard, you input this information and it scans the dark web. Notably, the IdentityForce does allow you to add social media accounts. So if basically someone takes over your accounts and uses them to make posts that are inappropriate, things like, violent, profane posts, inappropriate posts, cyberbullying, those types of things, you'll get notifications about that, which is nice. A lot of the identity theft protection services are starting to offer that now, kind of a newer feature. I think a nice thing to compare here is what these dark web monitoring systems actually turn up. So it looks like with IdentityGuard, these are all basically emails and passwords, and they found 18 of them. Let's see here. I'm just going to select for identity alerts. and I don't actually see a search button. So I'm just going to count real quickly. So they do have, other types of alerts in IdentityForce, like the sex offender monitoring alert, basically just tells you if there are registered sex offenders in your area. Smart SSN is, kind of helps you keep a track on what names and addresses are associated with your social security number. These are not alerts of leaks on the dark web, but all of these email address monitoring reports are. And so basically, if you take away those two, IdentityForce found 20 instances of my personal information being available online, whereas IdentityGuard found 18. So pretty similar in that regard. What you do see is that the numbers always kind of tend to vary, and one company doesn't always find everything that another company does, and vice versa. And what's really important is that they're finding hits on the different email addresses, which they both are, and that they're finding a significant number. Someone like companies like LifeLock only find somewhere along the lines of 8 compared to where the rest of these are, high teens, low 20s. But in any case, I think that both IdentityForce and IdentityGuard are pretty thorough in terms of how well they search the dark web. IdentityForce does not offer credit monitoring in their lowest plan. You do have to upgrade actually quite a bit to get credit monitoring. So there's nothing going on there either, but they do offer transaction monitoring, which I have not set up. So that's something that IdentityGuard doesn't offer in their value plan, but you can basically link credit cards, bank accounts, and set transaction limits. If anything's over the limit, you can get a notification and go and inspect whether or not that transaction was legitimate. If it's fraudulent, you can take action as necessary, those types of things. So that's basically how they stack up in terms of monitoring. Really, the only big difference there is that IdentityGuard does not offer transaction monitoring, whereas IdentityForce does. Just real quick, before we move on from monitoring here, I just want to mention that IdentityForce does offer a password manager, and they also have a secure storage vault where you can save, documents, anything that you'd like basically to be stored in a secure fashion. Although I have plenty of solutions for that on my own that I probably trust more, but it is something that they offer. And you can basically sort of preload like what your wallet contains. Should you lose your wallet, to make it much easier to go track down what needs to be canceled, requires a little bit of forethought. That does bring me to my next topic, which is threat resolution. With both of these companies, you are getting $1 million in identity theft insurance, which is great. It's pretty standard for sure, but they do both offer it. And both of these companies, when you actually contact their support team to get help, should you have lost your wallet or should you have, had, some sort of issue, the agents are very, very knowledgeable, very pleasant to work with. They understand their products. They understand your needs as a customer. It feels like I would say both excellent services and the kind of support you want when something bad does happen. Hopefully it never does, but that is why we carry these services in the first place. And what I will say is that IdentityGuard in their value plan does not offer the white glove resolution, although you do get that in the baseline plan with Aura, and with IdentityForce you are getting that white glove resolution in your basic plan. So both pretty similar. Both I'd say definitely have your back in that regard, although with IdentityGuard's baseline plan maybe not quite as much. And if you were to choose a similar plan with IdentityGuard so that the cost is the same as IdentityForce, you may get the white glove resolution in that case, indefinitely if you opted for Aura over IdentityGuard. And last but not least, just how do these companies compare in terms of cost? Let's just take a look at their pricing plan here. So IdentityGuard's value plan for an individual, not for a family, starts at $7.50 per month, which is pretty low. It's about as affordable as these sorts of plans get, but of course that's a pretty stripped down plan. There's no credit monitoring. You're not getting white glove fraud resolution. You're not getting transaction monitoring. You're not getting 3-bureau credit monitoring, anything like that. And then the next tier they offer is their total plan, which is $16.67 per month, which is pretty comparable to the baseline IdentityForce plan at $17.95 per month, obviously a little bit more expensive. And at this point, you're already in both cases into the situation where Aura is going to be a better deal. If we just take a look at their pricing here, this is before you apply any of my discounts, which by the way, that I do have a discount for IdentityGuard as well. But right off the bat, just if you're going to get their absolute cheapest plan with Aura, which their family plan's an absolutely great deal. But if you get their cheapest plan, it's $15 per month billed monthly. So that's cheaper than both the total plan from IdentityGuard and the ultra secure plan from IdentityForce. And that includes, you get that $1 million in identity theft insurance. You get great dark web monitoring, pretty much the exact same as you're getting with IdentityGuard. You're getting white glove fraud resolution. And on top of that, you're also getting, password manager, VPN, antivirus, safe browsing. You're also getting 3-bureau credit monitoring. So all of the, the major bureaus, you get a credit lock so that you can just lock your credit file with a click of a button, prevent unwanted inquiries. You're getting monthly credit scores, annual credit reports from all 3 bureaus. There's a lot to offer really on Aura's individual plan. And so it's already cheaper than IdentityGuard and IdentityForce at that tier. And if you use my discount, this price at the time I'm filming, I believe comes down to $12 billed monthly or $9 billed annually. And if you do opt for the family plan, you can save up to 50%, which really is a great deal. This covers 5 adults, so you can not only cover your spouse, but also your parents, one of your spouse's parents, or vice versa, and unlimited kids as well. And what's really great here is you do get $1 million per adult in identity theft insurance, whereas the rest of them are really only offering $1 million with some few exceptions. But I don't believe that is the case here with IdentityForce. But point being that you're getting, a lot more with Aura at that tier than you're getting with either Identity Guard on their value or total tier and IdentityForce on their baseline tier. And you can just see that the price goes up with IdentityForce if you do want to add on credit monitoring and all of those other lovely features. But anyway, whichever of these three that you do choose, remember to use my links in the description to get any discounts that I currently have my hands on. I'll always keep those up to date with the best deal. And if you want to check out my Aura review, I have that right here on this channel. I think it's worthwhile if you're considering identity theft protection. And you can see right here on this channel my comparison of Aura and Identity Guard, as well as my comparison of Aura with IdentityForce. Anyway, hope you found this helpful, and best of luck out there.